All right, so this lesson is going to be all about utilizing Nearpod in the classroom. So in this session, we're going to cover a couple of things. We're going to cover what Nearpod is, kind of how it works, and why I think it's such a really cool tool for teachers to use. We'll also cover some of the basics and show you how to use it, what kind of things you can do with Nearpod, and just some really cool things that you might not have been aware of. So first off, we're going to talk a little bit about what Nearpod is. Nearpod helps you to create interactive lessons. So those are going to be things that you set up ahead of time, or you can find pre-made lessons that other people have made that you can use. And what's really cool about Nearpod is when you use these lessons with kids, they actually see all the information right there directly on their device. So they use a code, they're going to join your lesson, and then they see everything that you do right on their screen. So it's kind of a better way, rather than them necessarily looking up at the smartboard, they can interact with stuff right there at their own seat on their own device. In addition to that, you can also add interactive content. There's all sorts of like assessment, quiz type things, multiple choice, open-ended questions. There's things that you can add, like activity type deals. You can have students draw responses, write responses, all sorts of types of things that are interactive that will really benefit students and make them more engaged in what's going on. You can also insert things like photos and videos, stuff that students can see right there on their own device. They can watch the video, they can kind of click through a series of pictures if you want them to see something specific. There's also some advanced features like the ability to add like field trips where students can explore 3D objects if you had virtual reality capabilities. There's some really advanced features, obviously that come with a price. The base of Nearpod is free. There are a lot of really cool things you can do with the basic features. And of course, they have the paid premium model where you can add in more content that you might need, but you'll have to we'll show you what's available with those subscription features, and you can kind of make the decision for yourself. So without any further ado, we'll kind of jump into a little bit of what Nearpod looks like, and we'll kind of cover some of the basics about how to sign in, how to create lessons, how to find lessons, what it looks like on both the student side and the teacher side, and then we'll just kind of wrap it up with some requirements and just some final thoughts about Nearpod. All right, before we begin, we're just going to kind of quickly, again, cover some of the things that'll be in this session and the requirement piece that will go along with what you need to complete. So some of the things that we'll be covering throughout this session is how to sign in. We'll show you kind of some of the options there for both you and for students. We're going to show you how to find lessons that have already been pre-made by other teachers or by Nearpod itself. We're going to show you how to make lessons and all of the content that you can add into those lessons and show you where you can find that type of stuff. We're going to show you what it looks like from the student side of things, what types of things that students would see as they're going through a lesson. We'll show you what it looks like from the teacher side, how to control the lesson, how to kind of what it would look like from that side. Any assessment data, we'll show you how to view those results in both real time and at the end of a lesson. And then we're just going to kind of top it off with showing what other people say about Nearpod. It's a highly rated app in the education world, and we're just going to kind of highlight some of those things that other people have said. Now, the other part of this session is going to be the requirement piece. So there are 3 steps to getting a requirement for this Nearpod session, which obviously, number 1, you're doing right now. You're watching the video. Number 2, you need to try out Nearpod, get yourself signed up with an account. And then we'll have you just kind of browse through lessons, maybe try some of the creating your own lessons, see what kind of things you can come up with, and then we're just going to have you tell us what you found. There will be a Schoology place for you to kind of post what you found, and that will give you the requirement. So without any further ado, let's move to part number 1. All right, first up, I'm going to show you how to get signed into Nearpod. I'm using my computer here, but this is also... actually, I'm using my iPad here, but this is also what a computer, the desktop version, would look like as well. So you can see on nearpod.com, there's a couple of options in the top right corner. If you need to get signed up for an account, just go ahead and click the sign up button. It does have the Google login option, which is something that I think a lot of people use. I know I do myself. If you want to sign up with your own just regular email account, you can do that as well. Click the sign up with Google. it'll ask you to give Nearpod some permissions. You can go ahead and do that, and it will sign you into Nearpod. I'm going to go ahead and just click on login since I already have an account. I do the Google login, and it should take me right to Nearpod. So this is the main screen of Nearpod on the iPad. We'll cover a couple of things on what to do when we get to this point, but that is signing in to Nearpod for a teacher. If you go directly to the Nearpod app, you also see a lot of the same options there. Down at the bottom, you can get started with a new Nearpod account. It just kind of takes you through the steps, and then you can sign up with that Google account. If you already have one, you can click the sign in and do the login. But that is what the login screen on Nearpod for an iPad looks like. Now for students, there's no account needed. All they need is a lesson code. So I have actually opened up a lesson as a teacher, and I'm going to have sign in like I would a student. So teacher displays the code, XEWIA. Student clicks join. They're going to type in their name, and they're going to hit join session. So now, exactly how this is going to work, and that's all the students need to do to be able to get signed in. The teacher will control the lesson. As they flip through the slides, you're going to see it change for the students. And that's all you need to do to get logged in on Nearpod. Next up, we're going to show you how to find lessons within Nearpod. One of the best features about Nearpod is that so many lessons have already been created for you that you don't need to do the legwork for. So we're going to show you how to access those levels, what to look for, and how to deploy those lessons to students. So everything I'm going to show you here is going to be via the iPad version of Nearpod. So I have signed into my teacher Nearpod account. You see from the main menu, you have options there to go to your library, which is the lessons that you've made. Explore, which is where I'm going to go to find lessons that have already been made. So you're going to see different categories of lessons, and they're going to be grouped and organized based on different topics. You can do some different filter stuff to be able to find lessons that you're looking for. If you want to find free or paid lessons, you can search by standard. If there's something specifically you're looking for, you can do things like that. And obviously grade level and resource type are available as well. You can also search for a specific topic. If you wanted to search for some sort of geography, you can do that as well. You can search and find lessons that you need there. But this is the main screen categories that you are able to find. Once you find kind of a category, depending on what you teach, for me, I'll just click on a U.S. history resource. You see all of the ones that are available. They're going to break down by grade level first. So you have K2, 3, 5, 6, 8, and 9, 12. I'm going to search in the 6, 8 and see what's available. And there are 9 lessons. Now, a lot of them you're going to see you're going to see who they're made by and how much they cost. So the ones made by the Nearpod team here, $2.99, $3.99. Some that you have to pay for. iCivics for social studies is also a company that's made a lot of Nearpod lessons. There is one Nearpod lesson that is free for you. If I wanted to pick this lesson, I can see what kind of content is in there. I can scroll through. Should be able to see. Should be able to see, yeah, some related lessons. I can preview my session by scrolling through. I can hit the arrow. It gives me my objectives, essential questions. It starts off by asking students a question, an open-ended question that students would respond on. So this is something that the students would see. You would see their responses when they're all done. So it's a think, pair, share. You can kind of just preview that. This slide right here is a virtual reality. If you don't have the virtual reality piece, no problem. You can still kind of be able to view. It'll just kind of go through as a slideshow. So if you had virtual reality, you'd be able to see these kind of using that. But if you don't have that, you're able to do that as well. So you just kind of preview the lesson. If you like it, you click save, and it will go up in your own library. So if I go back to the beginning, I can find my library, and the lesson that I saved is going to be in there for me to deploy to my students. So you can search through the Nearpod lessons, find something that you like, and deploy it out to your students that way. So with Nearpod, I'm going to show you how to create your own lessons. It's going to function very similar to any presentation maker. A lot of the features and the tools are going to be the same. I'm going to show you some of the things that you can do and some of the things that you will need a subscription to be able to unlock. So if I go to the Create tab here, it's actually going to kick me out to Safari. A lot of the features are still going to be the same. Everything is going to function very much the same. One of the nice parts about Nearpod is that you are able to upload PowerPoints that you already have. So stuff that you've already made or stuff that you've already purchased, you can create those right into Nearpod Lessons. If you just go to Upload Files here and choose the Google Drive option, that's where I save a lot of my stuff. It will give you the option to log into your Google Drive account. I'm going to do that. I'm going to find a I think I've got one on cyberbullying. Let's see. Yeah, I've got a cyberbullying PowerPoint I will open up. So it's going to take a little bit of time here to take that cyberbullying PowerPoint that I have, and it's going to process. This is a good time to remind you that everything needs to be in the PowerPoint format. If you have a Google, it'll make it convert over to PowerPoint to be able to upload into Nearpod. But now you've seen after my PowerPoint has processed, each of those slides translates into a Nearpod slide. I can drag those slides into any order that I want. I can also add slides if I wanted to just keep the slides just the way they are. I could save, be done, and I have my Nearpod lesson. If I wanted to add something, I can do that. When you click add, you get 3 options. Add content, that's what I'm going to do here shortly. Web content, that is actually part of the upgraded process, so I'm not going to show that. And then the activity is where you can have students do things like answer questions, different sorts of options that we will look at here briefly. But I'm going to click on the add content. You can see all the options you get. If I wanted to do, an audio or video clip that I have saved myself, I can do that there. I'm going to click on slide, and it's just like inserting a new slide. You see all the options. You can pick your theme, you can pick your layout, your background, all that right there. I'm just going to put in a very basic introduction, and let's insert a picture. The nice part about that, again, I can pick my own files, but I can also search image right through Google. I'm going to go cyberbullying. Spell it correctly, bullying, and I'm going to search. I get the options that I want to choose from, and I will pick that one, and I will insert that right into my Nearpod. So I've just made a new slide. That, I believe, went down to the bottom, and I can click and drag that slide. If I want to put that first, I can bring it all the way up to slide number 1. So that's kind of how you make slides. I'm going to show you some of the other content that you can add. So if I go to activity, here's all the things that you can have students do. If you wanted to leave them an open-ended question, let them type a response, you're able to do that here. Give a time. Let's type that correctly. Give a time. Ooh, gotta type that correctly. Give a time when you felt sad online. So I type that in, I go down to the bottom, I click save. Students now during that lesson, when I choose to insert the question, will be able to type their response. If I do it at the end, students will type their response at the end. I can see those responses right on the report, and I have effective interaction that you can get a little bit more information from. So again, you have all sorts of options to add in there. Lots of things that you can do. We'll cover some of the other features that are available that you can add as well. But that's the basics of creating, your own Nearpod lesson. I obviously inserted a PowerPoint. You can do everything from scratch as you choose. When I'm all done, you can down at the bottom, you can preview it. You can save and exit. I want to title my lesson. cyberbullying. I want to give it tags of what I'm going to use, technology, and save. So that lesson now will go back into my library that I can deploy to students whenever I want to do a digital citizenship lesson. I kind of covered this earlier, but I'm going to show what it looks like from the student side of things when a teacher is going through a lesson. So I'm actually going to use my own teacher computer to control the pace of the lesson, which is a pretty standard thing, and then I'm going to have my iPad here. I'm going to have it look like what a student would see as that teacher is going through the lesson. So again, the only thing students need to be able to join a lesson is the code for the lesson that is displayed. So my session that I'm going to go into, the code is TILFP. All I do is click join. It's going to ask me to type in my name. Again, the teacher will be able to see this, make sure it's appropriate. But I'm going to type it in there, and I'm going to click join session. Now, what's going to happen is it's going to bring me to the first screen here, but me as a student, I'm not going to be able to advance anything until the teacher does anything. So on my teacher screen, I am controlling everything here. I have the option to be able to look at just the screen here for the students. The teacher goes through, this is just kind of a very basic one that I've kind of played around with, so there's nothing going to be really content-wise in here. But if I went through this first slide, teacher goes to the second slide, it just automatically goes, tells the student there's an open-ended question here. Me as a student, I see the question, I type in my answer. I really like Flipgrid. All right, and then I submit my answer. I can edit my answer if I'm waiting and I want to type something different, but I just click submit again. I have typed in my response there and I'm good to go. Teacher flips to the next one. All right. So what I've inserted here, this is actually a screenshot picture, so I know it looks like a video here, but it's actually a screenshot picture, and what it wants me to do is it wants me to draw a picture of what I believe the question was, draw how you felt after seeing this picture here. So I actually have options down at the bottom here to be able to draw right on top of this picture. So it's kind of a cool thing. Again, I'm just doing this just to show you kind of what it looks like. I'm going to draw a big old sad face. All right, so I've drawn my picture. I could add things, I could erase, I could do all sorts of funny things with it, but I just wanted to show you this is what the drawing feature for the students looks like. When they've got it, they click submit. All right, do I want to submit this drawing? Yes. All right, and I have done that. So that is actually all there is to it. Again, depending on what teachers have in their lesson, if they have virtual reality things, if they have slideshows, you can kind of click through those. It gives students the options to do that. There's all sorts of things, but it really just comes down to the students kind of following along. Everything is right on their screen that they need, and so that's how students can kind of navigate and be a part of a Nearpod lesson. Again, everything is controlled by the teacher. Students just follow along and have the options there. All right, now I've kind of flipped it around, and on my iPad here, I have what it looks like from the teacher side of things. So the first things first, when I started my session, I'm actually going to back out here. So I have all my library here. I'm going to deploy this eTools session. So again, the first thing it gives me is that preview of what's in the lesson. All right, I'm going to go down at the bottom and I'm going to do a live lesson. You'll also see the option for student paste. Again, that's kind of that extra paid version that you have there, but I'm going to click on a live lesson. Yes, I've already started this, so I'm going to resume it. Again, it displays the code. The students go on their devices, all right, and they are able to click on and type in that code. Now, for me, I've clicked on the people as the teacher. You see all the people that are in your session. Now, you actually see two Blairs here, and that's because I've logged into this session on two different devices. The green one there is my computer, which I am now on as a student. The red one means somebody was no longer in this session. So if I want to remove them, if they've moved out of that session, the nice part is if I see red down here, I know somebody has exited the lesson. You can click on it, and you see exactly who has gotten out of the lesson. So you have a pretty good idea if somebody's doing something that wasn't what the rest of the group is doing. So I'm going to remove them for the group just because I know I don't need that anymore. All right, and when I start this, all I'm going to do is I've got my options to go to my slides here. I can click the next arrow. All right, and my student screen is moved. So if I had some content here, you know, we're up on the board, we're talking about it. This is actually just a picture, so I don't really need, you know, this isn't links or anything. This is just kind of a screenshot of a slide that I was using. If I wanted to see, go to the next slide. Again, which of the tools from the previous slide? So I'm going to take my student device here, and I'm going to answer this question. I really like Gimp. So I've submitted a response as a student, all right, and I should be able to see the answer, yep, right there. I can see in real time, so if I wanted to hide the student names, if I wanted to remove some of the answers, you're able to do that as well. But you have the option to hide or show the names. You can see all of the student responses. You don't have to put this up on the screen. You can just leave it up for students. You don't have to show, you know, everybody's responses if you don't want to. But that's kind of how the student response part works. I go to the next part, and we have the drawing one. So I'm going to draw on my computer a student response. All right, again, student clicks submit, sends it off. And now on the teacher side of things, you can see what everybody has drawn their responses. If I wanted to show this response, I could definitely do that. I share it out to the students, and now that's what all the students are seeing. I could talk about, you know, this answer. I could talk about this drawing. I have lots of options there. I'm going to unshare it. All right, that'll take it off the student screen, and they will see exactly what I see. So again, you know, I have the option, because there's only one person, I say the one response. If I wanted to jump back to a question or a topic or a slide, I can just drag it right there. I can jump around that way. If I wanted to quickly add an activity, like, oh man, I really want a response there. Up at the top, add activity. I'm going to throw in a, let's throw it a true or false. Let's do this. Open-end question. Have you enjoyed this lesson? And of course, so there's a teacher. The student device changed right to that open-ended question. Of course I did. The student types in their response. They submit it. And I see the students who have typed in their responses. So again, it's very easy to administer this. You can use your teacher computer, you can use your iPad to be able to do Nearpod lessons. Very slick, very smooth, lots of cool things that you can do by deploying these lessons. One of the best parts about Nearpod is at the end of the lesson, it gives you the option to export a report about what was the questions and answers that students were provided. So I clicked on the export button. I went to reports. It kicked me out again to the web version, but I can see the responses from different sessions of one I had with students. So if I click on that, I can see exactly what it is that they responded. I get a kind of a summary here at the beginning. I can see the different options. Again, there are some of the things that I can click on. Let's actually find one of the ones that I did today. So I have this one here. I had to draw it. I could see the drawing that students replied. I have the poll response. I have the open-ended questions. I can see everything. I can see exactly what students answered. If I wanted to do something with that, I definitely could. But the reports feature will list all the reports that you can run there, and it's just very handy to see what students have replied to the different things that you asked. I really quickly just wanted to show you all of the kind of the membership or the account access that you have. So the silver version of Nearpod comes with all the things that you see on the left side there. You can kind of see all the different things that you have available to you. If I click on the features, these are some of the things that you have access to with just the basic free version. You can kind of look through those. If you go to the Nearpod website and click on your account, you'll see the option there. They're always going to try and get you to upgrade there. So that's just the basics. The gold allows you, bigger class sizes, more lesson size. These are some of the things that you get in addition to the basic features. So you have more options there for reports. You get more options for having students do like self-paced lessons. You can have the students do more activities. You get some web content, all for about $10 a month. So you see there's Platinum there. There's also school district pricing too. If multiple people went together, you have all the options there. So that's just kind of all the features available to you with Nearpod, starting at the free version and working its way up. So that's it. That's kind of the basics of Nearpod there. So now that you've viewed this video, remember you need to go back to Schoology. There will be some questions there for you to answer. Give Nearpod a try. It's something that I think is very useful. You can, like I said, you can take some of the stuff that you've already made, transition it over to Nearpod, and just be able to reap the benefits of some of those additional features and just a lot of cool things that I think can be beneficial for students and teachers to give it a try. So try out Nearpod, post your response, and that's it for this session. Thanks.